Breaking news, folks. I'm here with Francesca Hong, a Democratic Socialist and Democratic candidate to become the next governor of Wisconsin. Francesca Hong is a Wisconsin State Assembly member from the 76th District. First, I want to ask you, why are you running for governor in Wisconsin?
Right now, we need a mass movement to meet this moment of fascism reigning in our communities, and it's time for an organizer and a working class person and a democratic socialist to be the next governor of my home state.
Fantastic. And so, looking back at the previous election and trying to connect some dots, why do you think it is that Donald Trump was able to succeed in Wisconsin, and what can we learn from that?
Well, there was a shift right in the entire country, and I think that a lot of working class people feel left behind and wanted a change in leadership. And so here in our state, we definitely saw a shift to the right and more Republicans coming out to vote. And it's really important that we have new, bold leadership to lead us forward and go back to our progressive roots to move forward.
Similarly, a lot of people seem to feel disenfranchised with the Democratic establishment. They feel like the economic issues aren't being addressed, bold progressive policy issues, like you mentioned, aren't being addressed. How do you feel like you have the ability to connect with voters who are feeling disappointed, frustrated right now?
I was in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, a small town in the central part of our state, and one of the folks who came out to ask questions and meet the candidate told me later that she felt like, I'm one of their own. And I think that speaks very much to folks wanting a working class person with the lived experiences and somebody who's going through right now a lot of the struggles and stress that other working class folks are feeling. I'm a single mom. I work multiple jobs. I'm a renter, feeling the impacts of rising rent. And so this is about relatability and people wanting to trust that the system can change.
What do you think are the biggest concerns, the biggest issues facing the people of Wisconsin right now?
Rising costs and affordability. And I think it's really important for uh, people to understand that we can achieve permanent affordability when we pass policies that center working class people and deliver for folks with the urgency that is required right now. And people deserve to live a life of dignity and have their quality of life improve through policies in a government that is a force of good.
Just a few years ago, it seemed impossible that someone who identified as a democratic socialist would be able to take power in this country. And then, we've seen across the country that changing, like Zoran Mamdani winning in New York City. What takeaways did you have from that campaign, and how do you think you could have that same type of success in Wisconsin?
Being a democratic socialist means that I'm committed to human rights, democracy, and fairness. And I think with democratic socialism rising in popularity, especially amongst young people and Democrats, that folks were ready for a person like Mayor-elect Mamdani to take power and lead to help communities. And one of the strategies and how the mayor-elect was campaigning was he really showed up for communities who often don't get to meet a candidate for higher office and embrace the diversity of the city and really appeal to younger voters and expand the electorate. And that has been our strategy from the beginning as well.
I want to talk about cost of living some more specifically. What do you think you'll be able to do to help address the needs of rent, housing, to make sure that people can live with dignity in Wisconsin?
Fairness is ensuring that the wealthiest few and the billionaires pay their fair share. We have a really inequitable tax structure here in Wisconsin. And one of the ways that we're going to be able to implement policies like free childcare, paid leave for all, affordable, high quality healthcare for everyone, these are policies that are going to allow working class people to have more opportunities for economic security. And so it's essential that we change the tax system to be fair, that we're investing in our kids and our workers, as well as our small businesses.
When democratic socialists talk about taxing the rich, some people get scared. They think that, the multimillionaires, the billionaires are going to leave. They're not going to contribute to the state's economy anymore. Can you explain the other side of it, how it could actually benefit the entire state for everybody?
A lot of the data shows that this isn't the case when uh, there are policies that tax the rich. We saw in New York City, a lot of the millionaires didn't leave when there were changes in the tax structure. And for, large corporations and manufacturers, it's a pretty difficult transition to potentially leave the state that they're doing business in. So the policies that we're fighting for are not only going to help working class people, but it's a way that we can attract more families to make Wisconsin their home, strengthen the workforce, and continue to live here because there are opportunities to live a life of dignity.
I know so many of our politicians, promise to help improve the lives of people, but then are entirely funded by big corporations, the donor class, special interests. I know you have pledged not to take any of that corporate PAC money. Can you expand on that, and how would that set you apart from some of the other candidates?
Not taking corporate PAC money or APAC money means that I am beholden to the people, and I don't have any interest in passing policies that are more politically expedient or convenient for legislators and politicians. And so being beholden to the people and making sure that I'm able to lead with moral courage and not put politics ahead of the people. This is why it's so important to make sure that people know that I'm not a corporate Dem and that I'm a democratic socialist, which means that I will be a politician that is for the people and by the people.
And do you know if the other candidates are taking some of this corporate money, APAC money? Is that a concern for you that voters might not get what they want if they go with these candidates because they're beholden to those interests?
I'm not aware, and I don't have the receipts to show what sort of donations my opponents have. I think, though, we're not able to control the type of independent expenditure and outside groups that plan to get involved in the race, but we do know that some of them have pledged millions of dollars, and we're not really interested in working with those groups. And so we're staying committed to not taking any corporate PAC money or APAC money. And I think that's going to continue to hold us accountable to the voters and not special interests.
Fantastic. I want to touch on a few more specific issues. Let's talk about reproductive care. As someone who's an outsider to Wisconsin politics, I'm not, up to date on the specifics of what the restrictions are around abortion in Wisconsin. But I believe Tony Evers passed a new bill recently. Can you talk about where that stands in Wisconsin and how you plan to help protect reproductive care?
Wisconsin has an antiquated abortion law that was set in 1849 that bans abortion, and reproductive rights have been under attack. We were fortunate to have a governor that is committed to reproductive freedom, but it's important to fight for equitable access to abortion care and make sure that that access is unrestricted. And policies like paid leave and free childcare are going to help working class folks. And these are abortion issues, and these are going to help people as well as abortion workers, make sure that there's equitable access to abortion care. When you've got working class people who are hesitant to get abortion care, or that it's harder to because they don't have childcare or they don't have paid leave to take the time to receive that care. And so abortion freedom is absolutely a priority of our campaign, and it's important to continue to fight to protect that abortion care for all.
And let's talk about childcare. I believe New Mexico became one of the first states to have universal childcare for everybody. And I know that's something that Mayor-elect Mamdani wants to do in New York City as well. I believe I read that you're a single mom. How do you think childcare is an issue for people in Wisconsin, and what can you do to help expand access?
Childcare is infrastructure. It is a key component of maintaining a strong workforce and a strong local economy. And childcare is, I believe, a right for working class families. And right now, there is a childcare crisis in our state. Childcare workers often don't have fair wages or good working conditions. We don't have enough opportunities for folks to become childcare workers. And I'm hearing from people all across the state how the limited childcare access makes it so that they struggle to make ends meet, and they have to choose between childcare and work. So our universal childcare policy will make childcare accessible for families that are below 400% of the federal poverty line, which is about average families that are making $110,000 or less. And it includes subsidies for childcare providers so that they have opportunities to increase wages for their childcare workers, improve infrastructure within their centers, maybe pay for maintenance and things like that. So it's a comprehensive policy that will ensure that we're able to build more childcare infrastructure in our state and take care of our workers and families.
And then, as for healthcare, do you support Medicare for all? Do you support universal healthcare, a single payer system? How do you personally feel about it?
I think Medicare for all is a good start. I think it's the bare minimum to ensure healthcare access for all. Our policy and platform include expanding Badger Care, which is the Medicaid program here in Wisconsin, a single payer policy, as well as having basic health plans and ensuring that high quality healthcare is available for all folks. Wisconsin is one of two states that has not expanded Medicaid, which means we lose out on federal dollars. But with the attack on healthcare from the federal government and the Trump regime, it's important that the state pass policy that protects healthcare access for all Wisconsinites.
And then another issue that I think is crucial but has gotten kind of put on the back burner for a lot of people is climate. How has climate destabilization been affecting the state of Wisconsin, perhaps with winter storms? It's funny, people think it's global warming, but it actually affects all climate. So what is your stance on building a sustainable future for Wisconsin?
We are living through a climate crisis, and climate justice has to be a priority for candidates as well as administrations. Extreme weather has increased across the world, and here in Wisconsin, whether it be extreme frigid temperatures, less rainfall, and really this climate change impacts our farmers severely. And so we have to reinvest in public lands, hold polluters accountable, make sure that we're investing in green infrastructure and good paying green jobs. And there's ways that, we have to set the expectation that we want zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Fantastic. And then let's talk about marijuana. I know it's illegal in Wisconsin. Is that correct? And would you support the legalization of something that is legal in so many other states?
We are missing out on so much tax revenue by not legalizing cannabis. And our stance and our policy is full legalization, as well as investments in communities where historically people haven't had the opportunity to open their own small business, and ensure that there's expungement policies for folks who are in jail or have on their record, minor offenses for possession. And so legalization is the good start, but we have to ensure that there's policies that make sure that the legalization is also supporting our local economies, as well as making sure that the folks who are most impacted by the criminalization of cannabis have opportunities to live a better life. And I'll also note that in Wisconsin, full legalization would bring in enough tax revenue for us to have broadband all across the state. And so we've got a weed for speed policy that will help us expand broadband and access to internet for folks all across the state.
Wow, that's really interesting. That's amazing. Okay, cool. Well, I'd love to know if there's anything you felt we didn't yet touch on that you want to share, whether it's a specific policy in mind or just your vision for Wisconsin.
We are a people-powered grassroots campaign that is growing a movement. I'm the only candidate that will be able to unite the left and working class people to build a coalition and organizing infrastructure to ensure that progressives can continue to build power. And so this is this is a movement, and we need mass movements in order to bring change and work towards having a better world. I always say that fascism aims to divide us, and when we don't imagine better, when we kind of give in to the apathy and lose hope, that's fascism winning. And so our movement knows that together we can make better possible.
Last question from me. I'm thinking about the opposition, like somebody who's been a lifelong Republican in Wisconsin, Republican family, conservative values, but they're feeling frustrated by the system as well. They would never vote Democrat, but how do you think you'll be able to bring some of those voters over because your policies don't necessarily seem partisan, they seem like they're people powered?
These are not radical policies, they're rational policies. And we have to implement them with the urgency to meet the moment. I think that working class folks across the state know that they deserve to live a life of dignity and have economic freedom. And so right now, the system is taking away economic freedoms for all working class people. And so framing it really as a freedom issue, as ensuring that working class families can combat rising costs and that we have a Wisconsin that works towards permanent affordability. And that's going to require the policies that we're fighting for. And it's resonating with working class people across the state.
Quick little rapid fire to end it with some fun ones. Favorite Wisconsin food and drink?
My favorite Wisconsin food has to be brats, and I am a big fan of brandy old fashions. It needs to be served sour, and I prefer no fruit.
And favorite sports team in the state?
We have the only publicly owned NFL team, and so I have been a lifelong Green Bay Packers fan, and I'm so excited that this season is going well.
I have to admit, I wanted to ask that because I saw in your background. I'm a Bears fan, so that was a pretty intense game the other night, but I think we're going to get our revenge in a few weeks. We'll see, though, fingers crossed.
The Bears Packers rivalry goes back many, many years, and I gotta say that the Bears still suck. It's a very well received, and a lot of people agree on it. But I know our history, and I think the rivalry is very healthy.
I think the Bears still suck is definitely a message that will resonate with people across the state. Okay, well, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it and look forward to seeing how the campaign goes.
Thanks so much, Josh.